Welcome. Before we begin today's ceremony, I have one housekeeping announcement. In order to maintain the dignity of this very special ceremony, we ask that all cellular devices please be turned off. If you just take a moment and do that, we would be greatly appreciated. My name is Don Latender. I am the 9th Dean in the storied history of the University of Iowa College of Pharmacy. It is my distinct pleasure to offer a heartfelt welcome to President Harold and other members of the platform, College of Pharmacy faculty and staff, family, friends, guests, and most especially the graduates of 2019. To each and every one of you, we extend sincere greetings and thanks for the honor of your presence. Today marks the college's 133rd commencement. The graduates seated before me have completed a long and rigorous course of study. Speaking on behalf of the faculty, I can assure you that we are most confident these graduates are extremely well prepared for the challenges of healthcare delivery in the 21st century. This morning, we are gathered here to celebrate their achievements and bid them well on their impending journey. I'd now like to take a moment and introduce our platform guests. To my far left, your right, first and foremost, Associate Dean Michael Kelly. Dean Kelly is the Associate Dean for Professional and Student Affairs. As a professor in the college, he oversees administrative functions for our Doctor of Pharmacy program. The Office of Academic Affairs is responsible for recruiting, admissions, and retention, advising and counseling, curriculum oversight, financial aid, scholarships, and a whole variety of other student activities. In other words, Mike and his team are deeply embedded in the day-to-day activities of our students. I know the students find Dr. Kelly particularly effective in this role and appreciate the guidance and wisdom he has provided throughout his years as Associate Dean. Incidentally, Associate Dean Kelly truly bleeds black and gold, as evidenced by the fact that he's not earned but but 3 degrees. His Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy, his Master's, and his PharmD as well are all from the University of Iowa. In 2018, students saw fit to name him the Collegiate Teacher of the Year. Quite high praise. Those are the formal aspects about Associate Dean Kelly, but I'd like to just take a moment and add a few personal words. This is Mike's last commencement as Associate Dean. He's been on our faculty for 25 years, and for the last 15, he has served as Associate Dean. You will not find anyone more deeply committed to the success of our students than Associate Dean Kelly. I know this is a bittersweet day for him. On the one hand, he gets to witness yet again the special journey that you've just completed by virtue of your graduation here today. On the other hand, I know that we're going to miss Mike in the days to come. So before I proceed with the rest of the platform, I just wanted to take this moment and pay special tribute and acknowledge the many, many, many contributions of Associate Dean Kelly. Mike, would you please stand so we can honor you? Seated to the right of Associate Dean Kelly is soon-to-be Dr. Joshua McDonald. He's the class president, and he'll be delivering a message shortly, and at that time I'll introduce Josh. Next are Teachers of the Year. Each year, the College of Pharmacy recognizes outstanding teachers selected by the students. The process begins by soliciting nominations and supporting comments from each of the classes. The results are used to select finalists who are asked to supply documentation describing their approach to teaching and their teaching philosophy. Teaching, discovery, and servant leadership are at the heart of our existence as faculty. We are incredibly fortunate to have not only these honored individuals, but a superb faculty with us today and every day in the classrooms, laboratories, and certainly patient care settings where they have the opportunity to provide a very high level of patient care. I'm going to ask these next individuals to please stand and remain standing so that we could recognize all of our Teachers of the Year collectively. First, it is a distinct pleasure to recognize Dr. Janine Abrams, peer-nominated and peer-reviewed Collegiate Teacher of the Year. Janine, please stand. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll recognize them all collectively. And then our P1 through P3 Teachers of the Year. Next after her is Dr. Jim Haynes. Afterwards, Dr. Laura Knakel. And then in the faculty, and an individual who served as this year's marshal, Dr. Katie Gaspar. Katie, could you please stand too? Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in acknowledging our Teachers of the Year. Thank you. Next, Dr. Max Ray. He is today's distinguished commencement speaker, and once again, I'll introduce Dr. Ray in a little bit in the program. And to his right, and certainly last but not least, is Bruce Harold. Mr. Harold serves as the University of Iowa's 21st president. President Harold will be formally conferring the degrees today during our ceremony. President Harold, we're most honored by your presence. I would like to acknowledge other individuals who are in attendance with us here today. First, Dr. Anthony Pudlow. Anthony is Vice President of Professional Affairs for the Iowa Pharmacy Association. And ladies and gentlemen, I shared this last night at the senior dinner, but for the uninitiated, it's very important for you to know, because this helps to enrich the quality of the education that we provide to our students, the very special relationship that exists in pharmacy in our state. It's unlike any other state in the United States. We have two schools of pharmacy, a private school, Drake, and of course our institution. The Iowa Pharmacy Association, which represents all pharmacists around the state of Iowa. And then our Board of Pharmacy. Those four entities work very closely together in advancing pharmacy practice and science in our state. And I believe I'm on safe ground in noting that we are the only college of pharmacy in the United States that boasts 100% participation in membership of our student body in our state association. It's a very, very special bond. Anthony is representing the Iowa Pharmacy Association today. And Anthony, I don't know where you're on the audience because I couldn't catch your eye, but if you'd please stand so we could recognize you. Anthony Pudlow, thank you. I couldn't see you over there tucked in the corner, Anthony. Next, that special bond, credit needs to go to those who preceded me, because this bond has existed for a long time between those four entities. The CEO Emeritus of the Iowa Pharmacy Association is now a part-time faculty member with us, and his name is Tom Temple. He's an alumnus of our college. As I mentioned, he's CEO Emeritus of IPA, and currently he is serving as the immediate past chair of the United States Pharmacopoeia, which is the body in the United States that has oversight of the quality of drugs manufactured in the world. He's past chair of the University of Iowa Alumni Association, and he is the recipient of our college's highest honor, the Osterhaus Medal for Lifetime Achievement. Tom, could you please stand and be recognized? Our college has two boards. One, a Genesis board, comprising individuals who have graduated 15 years or less. Their focus is a simple one, but a difficult task. Their focus is student success. They help our students with such things as interviewing skills, CV writing, and the development of a host of other soft skills that will help them in their journey as healthcare professionals. I know of at least one Genesis board member here today, but if there are others, I would ask you to please stand as well. But I know that Matt Cantrell is here, because Matt's on our faculty. So I'd like Matt to stand, and any other Genesis board members to please stand. Matt Wittry, thank you. So we have two. And our executive leadership board. Our executive leadership board, individuals who help the college with strategy and philanthropy. And this board, which is now in its 9th year of existence, has helped our program develop, which was virtually a non-existent program of philanthropy, into one that has been instrumental in raising the funds for our new facility, which we'll be taking ownership of later this calendar year. I can't begin to tell you the contributions made by our executive leadership board. I do know that we have at least one member of our executive leadership board here in attendance today, and that's Melissa Muir-Corrigan. Melissa, would you please stand and be recognized? I don't know where she is. Our sign language interpreter. We've worked with Kelly for a good number of years. Special thanks to Kelly Neppel, lecturer for the World Languages, Literatures, and Cultures Department here at the University of Iowa. Ms. Neppel, as I mentioned, is our sign language interpreter, and we are very much appreciative of her services. Okay. To the graduates, you look fabulous. I've been asked by the graduates to assure all parents, grandparents, and other loved ones in attendance that your daughters and sons dress this way each and every day that they attended class. All kidding aside, you look most professional. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take the liberty of the podium to comment about two programs that our college has initiated in recent times that will help augment the education and training that our graduates receive in their Doctor of Pharmacy program. The first is a program that focuses on health business leadership. This program is really intended to link our graduate endeavors with lessons learned, such as building business acumen, leadership and management skills. As I mentioned earlier, soft skill development. This is a partnership that actually was established by members of our executive leadership board who had graduated not from our College of Pharmacy, but from our College of Business, and saw the natural linkage between business and pharmacy and the need to introduce to our students elements of business and business acumen that would serve them well in their pursuit of their careers. As a consequence, we formed a partnership with Tippie College of Business, and thus the Healthcare Business Leadership Program was born. We just finished our first cohort of graduates, and several of them are in our graduating class. And I'd like now, please, to honor those who completed the Healthcare Business Leadership Program to please stand so we could recognize you. Please. And secondly, we have a palliative care program, the first of its kind in the nation. It was launched in 2017. For those in the audience who are not familiar with the term palliative care attends to the physical, functional, psychological, practical, and spiritual consequences of a serious illness. It is a person and family-centered approach to care, providing seriously ill people relief from symptoms and the stress of their illness. Palliative care focuses on expert assessment and management of pain and other symptoms, assessment and support of caregiver needs, very important dimension of care, and coordination of care. Palliative care is not a code word for hospice. It is not limited to the care of the dying. Palliative care can be provided to anyone with a serious illness, irrespective of prognosis or where a person may be in the trajectory of their illness. Palliative care is delivered by an interdisciplinary team that, according to the National Consensus Project's clinical guidelines for palliative care, includes pharmacists as an integral member of the team. Yet, we know from that data that only 14% of palliative care teams in the United States include a pharmacist. Hence, there remains an enormous unmet need of trained pharmacists in this practice space. As a consequence, the University of Iowa College of Pharmacy, in conjunction with the university approval process, approved a certificate program in palliative care designed specifically for pharmacy students. It's a first in the nation. The palliative care certificate program was created and co-directed by two national authorities, highly regarded national authorities who sit on our faculty, Dr. Cashel Lockman and Dr. James Ray. First, I'd like to ask Drs. Lockman and Ray to please stand so we could recognize you for their extraordinary efforts in creating this program. It is now my distinct pleasure to ask the men and women of the 2009 graduating class who completed the palliative care certificate program to please stand and be recognized. Thank you. And by the way, I want to let you know this is a 17-credit program, and that's layered on top of their PharmD degree. So I just want to, it shows you how hard these young men and women work. To our guests today, we recognize that many of our graduates have loved ones who have graduated from our program. Many of these individuals will be assisting with the hooding of our graduates, and we are most grateful for their presence. It's always nice to have members of our family come back and be a part of this very special ceremony. However, I'd like to take a brief moment to acknowledge one very special family who's with us today. Where's Alyssa? Alyssa Berry, one of our graduates, comes from a long, and I want to stretch long, line of pharmacists who are graduated from the University of Iowa. Harvey Norgard, her great-grandfather, 1931. Elma Norgard, her great-great-uncle, 1935. Jacqueline Norgard Devine, her great-aunt, 1958. Kenneth Michael Berry, her grandfather, 1963. Matthew Berry, her dad, 1988. And her cousin, Alicia Berry, in 2016. And not to be outdone, the one family member who's not included in this legacy but really started the whole shebang, was Jorgen Jensen Norgard, her great-great-grandfather, who graduated in 1904 from Highland College Park College of Pharmacy, which is today Drake College of Pharmacy in Des Moines. So, Alyssa, she will have the very unique privilege of having 3 of the 4 generations assisting her with hooding. Not sure how we're going to make all this work on the stage, but we'll make it work. And I just want to say to you, Alyssa, I know that your great-great-grandfather will be with you in spirit today. Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask Alyssa's family members to please stand so we can honor you? This is an incredible legacy. Please stand so we can recognize you. Now it's my distinct pleasure to recognize soon-to-be Dr. Joshua McDonald. Joshua is from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He first received an undergraduate degree here at Iowa in neurobiology before joining the pharmacy class of 2019. In addition to serving as class president, Josh has been active in Phi Lambda Sigma. Phi Lambda Sigma is pharmacy's leadership society. No wonder. Josh is a natural-born leader. And he's also been active in Rho Chi Society, and Rho Chi is our National Honor Society. So he's not only a talented leader, he's a talented student. He is intern at UI Healthcare Pharmacies as well as Mercy Medical Center. This summer, Josh will begin an ambulatory care residency at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. In my mind, Josh epitomizes the type of balanced student we are trying to nurture here at the College of Pharmacy. Academically driven, professionally engaged, and exemplary in demeanor. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Joshua McDonald to the podium, where he will provide remarks on behalf of the outstanding class of 2019. Josh?
All right, good morning, everyone. First off, on behalf of the class of 2019, I'd like to thank all the faculty and staff of the College of Pharmacy, all the professional and personal mentors in attendance, and all of the friends and family who have made it out today. We've relied on every single one of you throughout these last 4 years, and we're glad that we get to celebrate this day with you by our side. We could not have made it this far without you, and you deserve as much recognition today as anyone else in this room, so thank you. I also want to recognize Dean Michael Kelly again, as he is stepping down as Associate Dean after 15 years, like Dean Latender said. Dean Kelly is one of the first people we meet as students on interview day, and from there on, he is an integral part in the day-to-day lives as we complete our journey through the College of Pharmacy. His door was always open, and he regularly checked in with our class to just see how things were going. Personally, Dean Kelly took time to let me pick his brain about his experience as a psychiatric pharmacist, which helped me decide where I wanted to go in my professional career. It's that personable and open attitude that makes us sad to see him leave his position as Associate Dean, but happy that he will stay on as a faculty member in the Department of Pharmacy Practice and Science for another year. So thank you again, Dean Kelly. All right, I'd like to start out, like with most great speeches, with a quote from Merriam and Webster. Guinea pig, noun, a small, stout-bodied, tailless, domesticated rodent of South American origin, often kept as a pet. Alternate definition, a subject of research, experimentation, and testing. Now, I know some people in the audience might not understand the significance of that quote, so let me explain. The class of 2019 was the first class to complete an updated and revised curriculum at the College of Pharmacy. We were the guinea pigs for this curriculum. So coming into our first year, we didn't know exactly what to expect. We couldn't look to the classes ahead of us for advice because they had a completely different experience than we had. What we did know was that there were going to be growing pains, there would be on-the-fly changes, and we would need to adapt to whatever was thrown our way. We also knew that we were all going to be in this together. Pharmacy school is hard enough as it is. You have seemingly endless supply of tests, marathon study sessions, work outside of school, and leadership responsibilities. Add an ever-evolving curriculum on top of that, and you can see why some of us have some bags under our eyes, where some of us might not have as much of the thick, brown, luscious hair that we used to. I forgot I was going to be wearing a cap when I wrote that. If we didn't have an all-for-one and one-for-all kind of attitude, then this whole thing would not have worked out as well as it did. So naturally, we all supported each other, whether that meant taking notes for someone who couldn't make it to class that day, or being moral support when someone didn't do so hot on a test, or celebrating together when we finished an unusually rough semester. We were always there for each other. My fondest memories of the last 4 years are the whole class finding time to just be together outside of school. Usually that involved a sea of Hawaiian shirts or terribly ugly sweaters. So we ended up being a tight-knit group. That's because our 4 years together have been unlike any other 4 years at this college, and we shared something special. So now I'll finally get to the point I'm trying to make here. In any situation in life, be happy that you get to be a guinea pig. Be proud that you were a guinea pig. Let's look back at the definition I stated before. A subject of research, experimentation, and testing. What comes from those? From research comes advancement and innovation. From experimentation comes resiliency and determination. From testing comes knowledge and fortitude. And through all these things comes camaraderie, friendship, and family. We were given a great opportunity, an opportunity to be the leaders, the trailblazers of this new chapter in the University of Iowa College of Pharmacy. Classes of student pharmacists that we may never meet can learn like we learned, and will benefit from how we handled the trials and tribulations of pharmacy school. For the greater good, we struggled, we adapted, we persevered, and we are all better for it. I can't believe that we're about to graduate. I've had such an amazing time with my newfound family. It seems like we were just getting started. I could not have asked for a better group of people to have gone through this process with. I hope that wherever we end up, we can all stay in touch, and I hope that wherever our paths take us, we will all get to be guinea pigs once again. Congrats to the class of 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that could not be at the senior dinner last night, the senior students did something very creative, all in their own, quite off script. They created a series of superlative awards. And Josh was the recipient of one of those awards, and his was that he was the most likely to become a dean. And I just want to tell you that he's got a good head start in terms of his work. So congratulations, Josh. Josh, what wonderful words. Thank you. And most fitting for this outstanding class. Thank you very, very much. Next, it is my deepest honor to comment about the next gentleman who will be presenting to you, our distinguished commencement speaker. Max Ray, I'm going to start this way and I'm going to end this way. Max Ray is a dear, dear, dear friend. I've known Dr. Ray for over 40 years. He is the Dean Emeritus of the College of Pharmacy at Western University of Health Sciences in Pomona, California. And although he is now semi-retired, the word retired I don't think fits in his lexicon, he remains very active in professional associations and continues to speak and write. His career has encompassed pharmacy practice as a clinical practitioner and then a clinical manager, education as a teacher and professor and dean, as I mentioned, and several positions he's held in pharmacy associations. I actually worked with Max in the early 1980s for our National Pharmacy Association called the American Society of Health System Pharmacists. And in that capacity, all of you who are pursuing residency training, you can tip your cap to Max because early on, he was one of the individuals that was key in laying the foundation for residency training programs in the United States today. After that, he became the executive director of the California Society of Hospital Pharmacists before becoming dean at Western University. And by the way, he was their inaugural dean. Dr. Ray completed his BS degree in pharmacy at the University of South Carolina, and he later earned both his PharmD and MS Hospital Pharmacy degrees from the University of Tennessee. He also completed a 2-year residency at Methodist Hospital in Tennessee and currently resides just outside the city of Memphis. I can't begin to tell you how wonderful it makes me feel to have someone as distinguished and as highly regarded in our profession, an individual who has literally received virtually every high honor that our profession can bestow upon any one individual. Dr. Ray has accomplished much during his career, and we are honored today by his presence. Would you please join me in welcoming my dear, dear, dear friend, Dr. Max Ray.
President Harold, Dean Latender, faculty members, family and friends of the graduates, and members of the College of Pharmacy class of 2019. What a glorious day this is. I have a prediction. You graduates within a few years won't remember who the speaker was. You won't remember what he had to say in any particulars. I hope you might hold on to some general themes. What you will remember is the day itself. You will remember that you got dressed up in your academic regalia. You will remember coming to this magnificent building. And President Harold, it is a beautiful building. You will remember that you were surrounded by important people in your lives, family and friends. And you will remember receiving your diploma this day. Now, I have the unenviable position of being the only thing standing between you and that diploma. So, as George Steinbrenner said to all 20 of his managers, I won't keep you long. I have selected the title, The Human Touch, for my remarks. May I never see in the patient anything but a fellow creature in pain. A fellow creature, a creature like me, in pain or in need of services that only I am uniquely prepared to provide. This is a line from the Oath of Maimonides, a traditional oath in many pharmacy schools, and I understand that your class took an oath modeled on the Oath of Maimonides in your first year. So, on the theme of the human touch, it reminds me that our purpose as health professionals is to improve the quality of others' lives, to improve the quality of the life of those we serve, to make things better for them. People helping people, human beings helping other human beings. As professional people, we provide services that our clients, our patients, cannot provide for themselves, and which no other professional group can provide as well as we can. This simple fact is the basis for our professional calling. But it may be difficult to keep that simple fact uppermost in mind during a period of unprecedented technological growth, development, and clinical applications. Many of those in my generation bemoan the fact that technology is expanding much more rapidly than our ability to use it intelligently or wisely. It may seem at times that technology is running our lives, or that it somehow usurps our independence, our judgment, our humanity. Others, of course, embrace technology, find it exciting, even exhilarating. We won't settle the question here this morning of whether technology is a social good or evil. I only intend to make the observation that you are entering the profession at a time that is different, ineluctably different from any previous time. And the difference is based largely on technology, information technology, nanotechnology, molecular modeling, and so on. You may find such rapid changes in our professional environment bewildering. If you do, just think how much more bewildering it is for our patients. John Nesbitt wrote a book back in the early 1980s titled High Tech, High Touch. The premise of Nesbitt's book was that as our lives become more dependent on technology, there is a corresponding need for the human touch, a reaffirmation of our humanity by those we love, those we trust, and those whom we regard as knowledgeable, caring, professional people. So let me ask you to think with me for a few minutes about what it means to be human. What are the conditions or qualities that set our species apart from other creatures? Very quickly, we will arrive at such answers as self-awareness or consciousness, the capacity for abstract thought, creativity, the wide range of emotions we experience, and a sense of time and place. You can each add to that list, but I believe my short list covers some of the most important bases. Bear with me, the theme we're exploring together is people helping people, or human beings helping other human beings. Let me now ask the troubling question, how can one human being ever know or understand another human being? We quickly get to the old solipsism concerning the uncertainty that anyone exists other than ourselves. Are you simply a figment of my own imagination? Well, I leave it to the existentialists to sort that out. Actually, I'm pretty sure that you do exist, and I'm content to leave it at that. But at the same time, I know that it is impossible for me to ever know your innermost thoughts, feelings, hopes, aspirations, values, fears, concerns. I can only know what you are willing to tell me, and I am then dependent on your ability to articulate your thoughts and on my ability to interpret the language you use. Conversely, you can never know me for the same reasons. And if you and I are from different cultural backgrounds, the challenges in knowing each other become even more daunting. Here's where we are then. The only frame of reference we have for knowing another human being, a fellow creature, is our own human experience. I hope I have laid out then the fundamental challenge to professional people, that is, to get to know our clients, our patients, well enough to help them. Let us now think about humanity on two levels. Some philosophers refer to these two levels as the I and the thou. We can only have personal experience with the I level. Yet our focus in our professional lives is on the thou level, the life of another human being whom we can only know by approximation. How can we begin to deal with such a challenge? We cannot approach another human being or a fellow creature in pain on his or her own terms unless we have already experienced our own humanness, the I level, at a rich and deeply meaningful level. At an intellectual level, an emotional level, a scientific level, a spiritual level, a creative level. That is, to experience fully what it means to be human. Be an avid, eclectic reader. Reflect on what you have read. Connect the dots between the great ideas you pick up from different sources. Follow Francis Bacon's advice, Francis Bacon the philosopher, not Francis Bacon the painter. Follow Bacon's advice to stay in close touch with your noblest thoughts. Know when it is important to follow Henry David Thoreau's advice to simplify. Become lost for half an hour in a single painting in a museum. Listen deeply to the Adagietto movement in Mahler's Fifth Symphony. Let it sweep over you. And don't be bothered by what it means, because it speaks to us at a level that is inaccessible by words. Reflect on the distilled wisdom you got from your grandmother. Celebrate your humanity, your capacity to think great thoughts, experience rich emotions, solve problems, deal with adversity, live through personal pain, and leave a legacy. I believe then that only through experiencing our own human condition at a rich and deeply meaningful level will we ever be able to approach our fellow humans, those who constitute the thou level. Where should we begin in reaching out to those we are here to serve? I'm going to give you an answer that some of you may find mawkish or hopelessly trite. Love. There, I've said it. I'm not talking about romantic love, but the type of love that is modeled by our parents, by spiritual leaders, and by many teachers. Jose Ortega y Gasset, the Spanish philosopher, pointed out that the opposite of love is not hate, but rather indifference. If I love you as a fellow human being, I will become engaged in helping you in any way that I can. I will seek what is best for you insofar as I can know what that is. I will provide comfort. I will not be indifferent to you. I will be ready to provide a human touch. I would now ask you to think about how far or to what extent technology can go in satisfactorily duplicating any of those human qualities that we identified earlier: consciousness, creativity, abstract thought, emotions, a sense of time and space. I'm very aware of what some writers have to say about the prospects for artificial intelligence, even in the near-term future. Yet it seems to me that while such developments have the potential to complement the human experience, these developments, will cause us to cry out even more loudly for human compassion, understanding, empathy, and love. We live in a remarkable age. Technology has transformed our lives on many levels. If we think only about the level of health care, we quickly arrive at some amazing facts. I have already lived a number of years more than what the life expectancy was for a man when I was born. And I feel fairly certain that many of us here on the stage today would not be alive if it weren't for medications. Medications that are the product of technology. And as pharmacists, we have the privilege of helping all of us use that technology to our benefit, to achieve the best possible outcomes from medication use. but try to keep in mind, day by day, moment by moment, that it is a fellow creature you are treating, not simply a case of AFib or preeclampsia or otitis media or any other malady. That patient may be bewildered, may be experiencing fear, may be in pain. That patient is a fellow creature in need of human touch. I leave you now with this thought. As you turn to your calling, keep in mind that your central purpose is to help a fellow creature in pain or in need of specialized services that you are best suited to provide. In order to prepare yourself for that calling, you will need much more than the education you have received in pharmacy school. You will need to experience your own humanity on a rich and deeply meaningful level. Only then will you be able to reach out to another human being and provide that human touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ray, for those words of inspiration. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to pay special tribute to a group of men and women who are near and dear to all of us, especially those of us here in the United States of America. And that is our military personnel. Before we can confer degrees, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge loved ones who are in the military service and cannot be here today because of their service to our country. There are loved ones, there are graduates here today who have loved ones who are serving our country. Otherwise, they would be here. Indeed, we enjoy many freedoms because of the sacrifices that these individuals make. Those present today who have served or are currently serving in the military, could you please stand and remain standing? And may I ask all of you to please join me for a moment of silence as a gesture of thanks to those who are serving our country. Those who are serving or have served, please stand, and then I'd like to ask you join me in a moment of silence. Thank you, and thank you for your service. Bruce Harrell became the 21st president of the University of Iowa in November of 2015. He received his Bachelor of Engineering degree from Purdue University and a Master's in Business Administration from Harvard. President Harrell served on the faculty of Harvard Business School from 2008 until 2014 with dual appointments to the entrepreneurial and strategy units. He was faculty chair of the Building New Businesses and Established Organizations program. He has served in several corporate leadership positions with Kraft, General Foods, Boston Market Company, and IBM, focusing on strategy and transformation. President Harrell has also served as a consultant on leadership, organic growth, and strategic renewal. He is the author or co-author of numerous articles and book chapters, and has also authored or co-authored several case studies for Harvard Business Publishing. We are deeply honored to have President Harrell with us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, graduates, please join me in welcoming Iowa's 21st president, Mr. Bruce Harrell.
Thank you, and good morning. It's great to be here, and welcome to all the families and friends Welcome to all my faculty and staff colleagues, special guests, and oh yeah, those we're honoring today, our graduates. What a journey, and now is the day. We're celebrating your individual achievements. You're on the cusp of your professional careers. But let me remind you, like all the rest of us, you didn't get here alone. There were friends and family members, a fellow student, a faculty member, a mentor, maybe a boss that picked you up in time of need, gave you some encouragement, maybe actually told you how it should be done the right way. For all of those people, would you mind just standing up, turning around, and thanking them? Please, graduates, stand up. It's okay. A little exercise will do us well. Let's thank them. At least you feel better, huh? Physically and mentally. Here's my first charge to you. Pay it back. There's not a person in this room who almost on a daily basis doesn't need some type of support. For some reason that I cannot figure out, we're in such a divisive state in our nation and around the world. Don't forget that we're all humans in this journey. And when you see a fellow human who needs your help, pay it back. Help them. Lift them up. Make our society better. That's why you're here. You think you've chosen pharmacy, but I would first and foremost remind you that your first charge is to pay it back to humans across our society in any way you can. Never forget to offer a helping hand, and you will make not only our society better, but also you're better. You'll make yourself better along the way. Now, this is an amazing club, if you will, that you've been part of and now you're formally joining. This was the 4th pharmacy college in the United States. It has been ranked in the top 20 for a long, long, long time. For 130 years, there's been this incredible contribution of discovery, of teaching, and serving that marks the excellence of this club that you're now formally part of. Remember that. Wear that with not only honor that you've earned, but also wear it with pride and earn it back every day as you move through your careers. Many of you will stay with us here in the state of Iowa, and for that we thank you. You will be joining a remarkable group, as over 50% of the pharmacists in this great state have been educated here, like you. So you're joining in a welcoming, very well-educated, I might add, group. Some of you will go to other parts of the world. And as you do that, go fully knowing that you will take an excellent education with you and help lift up those regions of our world as well in your careers. We're very, very proud of you, graduates, as you might expect. And we would expect that you come back to see us. I don't believe in goodbyes. I believe in see you around the corner. Come back and visit us. In just a few years, you will be amazed at the impact you can have with your experience in the workforce, with the then-to-be students that you're now part of. Come back, join us not only for a sporting event, but come back and share your wisdom in the classroom. Wherever you go, whenever you come back, you will see, first of all, a sparkling new building that I'm sorry to say you're not going to have the opportunity to have been part of. But come back and see it this coming year. But also, please know that with all that newness, you're going to find things are also still very much the same. A group of very, very dedicated faculty, highly focused on their research and sharing it with you and trying to make our world a better place. That is your ultimate charge, making our world a better place for all of us. Now, you've been and always will be central to the excellence of this institution. And for that, we're ever so grateful. Go forth, share yourselves with your fellow human beings, and maintain the excellent standards with which you've been guided here, and lift up our society. Congratulations, and please know we are very, very proud of you. Dean Latender, would you please go to the podium over there and join me in conferring of our degrees.
Thank you, President Harold. President Harold, these candidates have completed. Yes, we have to confer degrees, but I just want to say that we're extremely fortunate to have a president who is engaging and is in substantive conversation about advancing our university and each of the colleges within our university. This is the only time of the year, the only occasion of the year where I have an opportunity to publicly acknowledge the president of our university and for all the good work that he does on our behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank the president of the university. President Harold, these candidates have completed all of the requirements for the degree, Doctor of Pharmacy, and are recommended to you by the faculty of our College of Pharmacy for the conferring of their degrees.
On recommendation of the faculty of the College of Pharmacy and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree of Doctor of Pharmacy as qualified and designated. Congratulations.
Woo! Thank you, President Harold. At this time, I'm going to relinquish this podium and turn it over to Associate Dean Kelly, who will manage the affairs of the commencement ceremony from this point forward for the actual hooding and diploma distribution. I'd also like to take a moment again and just call attention to those faculty members who are helping us either as marshals, handing out, helping with hooding and handing out diplomas, and we express our heartfelt thanks to them as well. Associate Dean Kelly.
It is now my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you the members of the class of 2019. Today, each student will be receiving a hood. This is a symbol of doctoral education. As the faculty marched in, you probably noticed that the trailing hoods are of many colors. The length and shape of the hood indicate the degree that is granted. The lining displays the official colors of the university awarding the degree, and the velvet trim indicates the field of study. The hood the students will receive today has an olive coloring that indicates the clinical doctorate of pharmacy. Stars on the gown indicate the levels of academic achievement. The cords being worn by some students indicate selected achievements. Purple and white cords are for high academic achievement and membership in the Rho Chi Honor Society. The green and gold cords indicate high achievement in leadership and membership in the Phi Lambda Sigma fraternity. Students completing the certificate program in palliative care are wearing teal-colored cords. Gold cords are given to those students that have demonstrated a dedication to community service and have earned the College of Pharmacy Excels Award. The silver cords are worn by students that have successfully completed our healthcare business leadership program. A number of the graduates will receive their hoods from family members that are pharmacists. I will now ask that the graduates begin to line up to my left, one row at a time, and I will introduce the graduates to you. There is a professional photographer that will take photographs of each graduate. If you would like, please feel free to come forward. Come forward towards the front and take pictures of your own. Doctors Janine Abrams and Jim Haynes will be hooding our graduates. If you could begin the lineup, Kyle, thank you. They're supposed to go around there. We'll figure it out. It's cool. Dr. Josh McDonald, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He will be hooded by his cousin, Michelle Proskovic. She was a graduate of our College of Pharmacy. Josh is graduating with high distinction. Our next several graduates are going to be hooded by Doctors Jim Ray and Cashel Lockman. They are the faculty members for our palliative care group, and they will be doing the honors for those individuals who are getting certificates in palliative care. Our first degree goes to Dr. Kyle Lyons from St. Louis, Missouri. Kyle is graduating with a certificate in palliative care. Dr. Morgan Jacks, Waverly, Iowa. Dr. Jacks will also receive a certificate in palliative care. Dr. Sophia Johnson from Pomeroy, Iowa. Degree with a certificate in palliative care. Dr. Brittany Faley, Johnston, Iowa, with a certificate in palliative care. Dr. T. Cow, Garden Grove, California, with a certificate in palliative care. Dr. Abby Ulrich, Dubuque, Iowa. She graduates with highest distinction and a certificate in palliative care. Dr. Marianne Carter, Kokomo, Indiana. Marianne graduates with distinction and a certificate in palliative care. Dr. Jillian Ginger, Pleasantville, Iowa. Dr. Ginger graduates with high distinction and a certificate in palliative care. You're welcome. Dr. Tori Cranow, Blue Hill, Nebraska. Dr. Crino also is a member of our dual degree program and has received her master's in public health as well. Dr. Shelby Dick, Woodbine, Iowa. Dr. Dick graduates with distinction. Dr. Sarah Liebergen, Houston, Texas. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Andrea Weldon, Oxford, Iowa. Dr. Abigail Sakalaris, Des Moines, Iowa. Dr. Tess Dyson, Vinton, Iowa. Graduating with highest distinction. Dr. Bess Hanrahan, Iowa City, Iowa. Graduating with highest distinction. Dr. Teresa Doyle, Fort Dodge, Iowa. Graduating with high distinction. Dr. Allison Russell, Oskaloosa, Iowa. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Alyssa Greiko, Lockport, Illinois. Dr. Rebecca Serino, Carroll Stream, Illinois. Graduating with high distinction. Dr. Autumn Peterson, Palatine, Illinois. Dr. Peterson is also receiving her Master's of Public Health. Kate Zeski, Durant, Iowa. Dr. Erica Hilleman, Marshalltown, Iowa. Dr. Daniel Wentworth, Homer Glen, Illinois. Dr. Benjamin Gardner, Robbins, Iowa. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Gavin Meyer, Algona, Iowa. Dr. Chase Koyman, Pella, Iowa. Dr. David Iverson, Coralville, Iowa. Dr. Corbin Nickel, Urbandale, Iowa. Dr. Trevor Mace, Sartell, Minnesota. Dr. Jacob Vilkowski, Roscoe, Illinois. Dr. Aaron Rubitz, Mason City, Iowa. Dr. Zachary Lynch, Charles City, Iowa. Dr. Ben Buffington, Mason City, Iowa. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Eric Gunderson, Oregon, Wisconsin, with distinction. Dr. Dayton Trent, Amarillo, Texas. Dr. Darren Minen, New London, Iowa. Dr. Ahmed Ahmed, Omdurman, Sudan. Dr. Sadie Osborne Donahue, Amana, Iowa. Dr. Corey Osborne, Forest City, Iowa. Dr. Samuel Williams, Marion, Iowa. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Kyle Erland, Grinnell, Iowa. Dr. Joshua Kirchner, Urbandale, Iowa. Graduating with high distinction. Dr. Jasmine Mangrum, Chicago, Illinois. She is also a recipient of our Master's of Public Health degree. Our next graduate is Dr. Alyssa Berry, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. She has the honor of having her father, Matthew Berry, her cousin, Alicia Berry, and her great aunt, Jacqueline Devine, doing the honors of hooding her. Dr. Levi Jellison, Palo, Iowa. Dr. Jessica Kuhn, Clive, Iowa. Dr. Miranda Fullerton, Grimes, Iowa. Dr. Paula Gavetsky, Park Ridge, Illinois. Dr. Gavetsky graduates with a certificate in public health and with high distinction. Dr. Fisher Harold, Muscatine, Iowa. He graduates with distinction. Dr. Grant Jerkovich, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Dr. Adeze Emecheta, Lagos, Nigeria. Dr. Emecheta also is graduating with a Master's of Public Health. Dr. Jasmine Valentin, San Sebastian, Puerto Rico. Dr. Connor Dirks, Fox Lake, Illinois. Dr. Brianna Negard, Carmel, Indiana. She will be hooded by her father and mother, Barry and Angie Midkiff. Angie, excuse me. Dr. Negard graduates with distinction. Dr. Katarina Brown, Washington, Iowa. Dr. Sarah Lothspike, Muscatine, Iowa. Dr. Lothspike graduates with the Master's of Public Health degree as well and with distinction. Dr. Brittany Wieland, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Dr. Whitney Patterson, Wellman, Iowa. Graduating with high distinction. Dr. Lauren Roeder, Washington, Iowa. Graduating with highest distinction. Dr. Agassi Mila, Coon Rapids, Minnesota. Dr. Tony Wen, Anaheim, California. Dr. Leah Granroth, Iowa City, Iowa. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Jessica No, Covina, California. Dr. Kelby Kwok, San Francisco, California, with distinction. Dr. Stephen Hong, San Francisco, California. Dr. Suman Rijal, Marietta, Georgia. Dr. On To No, Davenport, Iowa. Dr. Zhang Ho, Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. Dr. Sharon Wong, Hermosa Beach, California, with distinction. Dr. Weiwen Deng. Dr. Deng is from China, and she is also receiving the Master's of Public Health degree. Dr. Jizu Lee, Seoul, Republic of Korea. She is also receiving the Master's of Public Health. Dr. Dean Tran, Sioux City, Iowa. Dr. James Wynn, Westminster, California. Dr. Bradley Weiss, Creston, Iowa. Dr. Abigail Narayan, Pleasant Hill, Iowa. Dr. Narayan is also receiving the Master's of Public Health degree. Dr. Anthony Hunt, Granville, Iowa. Graduating with high distinction. Dr. Amna Rizvi Toner, Bettendorf, Iowa. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Jessica Street, Burlington, Iowa. Graduating with high distinction. Dr. Joshua Formanek, Farmersburg, Iowa. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Trang Dang, Davenport, Iowa. Dr. Dang will also have received her Master's of Health Informatics degree, which is another one of our dual degree programs. Dr. Abigail Renner, Maple Grove, Minnesota. Dr. Renner will also receive the Master of Public Health. Dr. Kelsey Zenti, Des Moines, Iowa. She will be hooded by her aunt, Tina Valentino. Dr. Zenti graduates with high distinction. Dr. Chelsea Brandt, Oskaloosa, Iowa. Dr. Maureen Smith, Peoria, Illinois. Dr. Rebecca Burgett, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Dr. Molly O'Brien, Dubuque, Iowa. Dr. Mitchell Myers, Adel, Iowa. Dr. Jordan Langreck, Cresco, Iowa. Dr. Langreck will also receive the Masters of Public Health. Dr. Ashley Wallace, Sulphur Springs, Texas. Dr. Wallace will also receive a Global Health Studies certificate. Dr. Aaron Day, Anamosa, Iowa. Dr. Jalen Westfield, Champaign, Illinois. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Jared Zabo, Postville, Iowa. Dr. Zabo graduates with high distinction. Dr. Megan Kepnick, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Graduating with distinction. Dr. Mackenzie Mead, Des Moines, Iowa. Dr. Brianna May, Urbandale, Iowa. Dr. Kaylee Kakmarinsky, Marshalltown, Iowa. Dr. Liza Kramer, Dubuque, Iowa. Dr. Kramer graduates with distinction. Dr. Zach Delanoit, Fort Dodge, Iowa, also graduating with high distinction. Dr. Lynn Tang, Columbus, Ohio. Dr. Ginny Guo, Iowa City, Iowa. Graduating with distinction and with a Master's of Public Health. Dr. Uzma Mumtaz, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Dr. Kristen Gertismeyer, Tyler, Minnesota. Dr. Haley Versteeg, Runnels, Iowa. That's the end of it. That is the class of 2019. Congratulations.
Wow. How do you feel? Good? Feeling good? Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, I'm going to steal a page from President Harrell. Let's stand up, face your loved ones. Let's give them a round of applause. They've worked very hard, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, I usually mention this earlier, but those that have little ones here, we welcome them. That's part of our family. So you don't ever give a second thought about the little ones that are out there. In fact, afterwards, I would ask on the back, we'll have applications where you do early admission for some of these little ones. So please, they're part of our family, so don't you ever worry about that. I just love the little ones, so don't give that a second thought. Today is a very special day, as we know. It marks the culmination of years of effort on the part of many, and it represents the beginning of a new journey into healthcare in which each of these graduates will undoubtedly leave a profound mark upon all whom they serve. I'd like to take a moment and recognize a very special group of individuals, and they happen to be my left and slightly behind me. For the past 4 years, the group of men and women seated here have given much to enrich the lives of our graduates, intellectually, emotionally, professionally, and I must add, depending upon the subject matter and your level of preparation at exam time, spiritually. Frankly, for a secular institution, I have witnessed a whole lot of praying at times. We are indeed blessed to have a truly outstanding faculty and professional staff. Through their research, they are in constant quest of the next critical step in finding new drugs or better ways to deliver health care. And through their scholarship of teaching, they're always striving to impart knowledge, stimulate critical thinking, and hone one's student problem-solving abilities that they can carry into the world. Theirs is truly a labor of love. Faculty, may I ask you to stand, please? Ladies and gentlemen, all of you, I ask that you join me in recognizing these fine men and women. Thank you. I'll say before I go on to the next section, I can't thank our faculty and staff enough for all of the work that they do. It is truly, truly, truly a labor of love. Now I'd like to recognize our staff, if I could, because I believe the events of the last 2 days were simply outstanding and have gone on without a hitch because of our staff. Throughout the course of the academic year, we have a goodly number of events. I have the distinct pleasure, oftentimes, of being the face of the college, if you will, but trust me, there are men and women behind the scenes that are working very diligently to make sure that things work aplomb. And without them, we just simply could not do our jobs, and without them, the college could not be what the college is. I would like to ask, please, that the men and women who are such important parts of the college, important members of the College of Pharmacy faculty, staff rather, may I ask that they please stand so we could recognize our staff. Staff members, please. We have others in the back. I know they know this, but I just want to share with you on a very personal level that I feel very privileged to serve as dean and have such capable, considerate, and caring staff as integral members of our College of Pharmacy family. To our guests, I'd like to thank the parents, grandparents, spouses, other family members, and friends of the graduates. Your personal, moral, and of course, financial support has been critical for these graduates who have achieved this important milestone in their lives today. If you're physically able, I would like to ask the parents, grandparents, spouses, and partners of our graduates to please stand so we can recognize and honor you. Thank you. And yes, we can see you waving in the back. That's good. Professionalism. It's where we started. It's your white coat, and it's where we're going to end today. Yes, we have come full circle. What you choose to profess and how you exercise all of the privileges that will be bestowed upon you, and how will you decide to use those talents in the coming days. Pharmacist. Just saying the word connotes much in today's society. Responsibility, respect, integrity, trust, and healing, as we heard in earlier comments from Dr. Ray, are but a few of the things that quickly come to my mind. Hence, you'll be called pharmacists for several reasons. First, you have earned the distinction that the title carries through years of study and hard work. Bear in mind that this is a beginning point, not an end point. You'll always be required to continue to learn and hone your skills for a true healthcare provider's time as a student never truly ends. Second, you're about to enter into a very special covenant with the public. The covenant will willingly place lives in your hands, and in return, you will be obligated to draw upon all of the special knowledge and skills that you have to help ensure the health and safety for those of whom have entrusted their care to you. In that regard, I draw upon the words of Michelangelo, who once said, "The greatest danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high, but in falling short, is setting our aim too low and achieving that mark." I urge you to always aim high. Those we serve deserve nothing less. They deserve our very, very, very best. And third, and lastly, you will become a member of a very select community, and you'll forever be a member of this College of Pharmacy family. This community, called the profession of pharmacy, is one built upon trust, discipline, communication, collaboration, caring, and a firm commitment to health promotion and disease prevention. Our profession demands these things, and our patients have come to expect nothing less. For these reasons and so many more, you'll have the unique privilege of forever bearing the title pharmacist. I feel especially proud and privileged to be among the first to call you a pharmacist, and because I know in my hearts that each of you is so deserving of this recognition. My heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, this has indeed been a very special celebration, one honoring a very special class. This concludes the 133rd commencement of the University of Iowa College of Pharmacy. I would ask, please, that all is in attendance, please remain seated during the recessional. Once all of the graduates have exited, then you may depart at your convenience. There's only one thing left to say, and that's, go Hawkeyes!